Jamal Adams and the Seattle Seahawks have a perception problem. The Seahawks' national narrative is that Pete Carroll keeps rolling out the same tired defensive scheme, trying to repeat the glory days, knowing only one way to call a defense. And Jamal Adams' narrative is that he's only a box safety who can only run through the tackles and only blitz off the edge. Well, I'm here to tell you that is literally all completely wrong. What was once the most stagnant, vanilla defense has become one of the most diverse, and Adams has become the key to that diversity by ranging all over the field. The Seahawks have now become multiple in every sense of the word, whether it be their fronts, personnel packages, or coverages, and Adams has redefined himself within this defense. There are still pressing questions about his ability to cover and what his true value really is. Pro Football Focus ranks him as the NFL's 105th best safety, so today I'll lay out why I disagree with that, dispel some of these false narratives, and define what the new Seahawks defense looks like while providing context for who Jamal Adams is as a football player. In 2021, the Seahawks followed the trends of the rest of the NFL and started playing two high safety coverages way more. To defend the pass better, modern defenses have more frequently dropped a second safety deep instead of just one deep in order to provide help over the top of deeper routes, create better leverage on play-action crossers, and force quarterbacks to be patient and attack underneath. The Seahawks played one high safety coverages at a top 3 rate in the league every year for nearly a decade, where they wouldn't even disguise what they were doing. The second safety would already be in the box or pre-rotated, but in 2021, things started to change. Their two high safety usage shot up, where they played the 5th most cover 2 zone in the league, and while they still played a ton of cover 3 zone, the way they did it changed too. Their pre-snap rates of showing 2 high safeties instead of the pre-rotated 1 high skyrocketed, and that makes it more challenging on the quarterback since you can play almost any coverage out of a 2 high shell, and he doesn't know what you're doing until after the snap. In 1 high coverages, you're pretty limited since a safety can't really sprint back at the snap. But in 2 high, both safeties can stay deep, one can rotate down to almost any position. As Kevin Garnett says, anything is possible. One of the main reasons they made this switch was offenses had developed answers to their 1 high cover 3 zone that Seattle had solutions for but couldn't always execute. And this example also shines a little bit of light onto why the national perception of Jamal Adams isn't entirely accurate. Offenses loved running post-wheel or peel concepts against their cover 3 zone since it puts the corner in conflict. Since his receiver runs a deep route that turns to the post, the corner knows if the safety is preoccupied by something else, that deep route could tear wide open right down the field. Good defenses have solutions to this, where either the corner sticks on that deep receiver and asks the overhang defender, which is Adams, to carry the wheel, or they'll have the safety and corner communicate for the safety to take the post, and then of course the corner carries the wheel. That's what the Seahawks solution was here, where you can see Marquise Blair coming down to take the post so Sidney Jones can zone off for the wheel, but when Jones blows the coverage and Adams is standing all alone, it looks like he blew his assignment and is bad in coverage, which here just simply isn't true. For the Seahawks to start playing all these 2 high coverages, Adams obviously needed to start playing deep a lot, and 2021 was actually the first time in his 5-year career he played more snaps deep than he did in the box. His specialty has always been to play close to the ball, blow up the run off the edge, but now the Seahawks ask him to do something almost completely different by playing deeper in a ton of space instead of underneath with a ton of bodies, and in many ways, he's actually excelled. Now we can see the benefits of the 2 high coverages where the Saints are also running post-wheel. The Seahawks are playing 2 high, quarter, half, where Adams and Jones are playing quarters, and Quandre Diggs is playing a half. Adams' assignment is the post route since he has help outside from Jones up the sideline. Especially in a 2 high middle of the field open coverage, you can't allow the post to cross your face. And with Jameis Winston waiting for Adams to commit before he throws, Jones kind of blows the coverage and gets burned by the wheel, but Adams covers for him by executing a perfect speed turn. Instead of trying to reopen his hips back around, which would slow him down and allow the receiver space to make the play, he completely turns his back to the ball, which makes him get there way quicker. It can be hard to speed turn and take the correct angle to the ball. You could easily go 2 high deep or too far under, but Adams shows his instincts and range to break up the pass. He can be the second deep defender from these two high shells. He can also even be the only one high defender, but a lot of the time the Hawks assign him to come down, and from there, he can do almost anything. They play him as a cover 1 robber defender, cover 3 sky, cover 3 buzz, use him as the spy for mobile quarterbacks. He will have an issue sometimes hesitating to shoot his shot when he's playing in the middle of the field. He can struggle at times to really trust what he's seeing, and that's a major factor as to why he only has a handful of career interceptions, but I think he just needs more reps coming down from depth, and then we'll start to see those numbers jump. The Hawks can hold him in that 2 high shell and use him in cone brackets, where when he's lined up to the same side as a Devontae Adams or Deontay Johnson, he in the corner will cone that receiver, which is just a form of doubling him. The corner has Johnson low and outside, and Adams has anything high and inside. He excels at flying down when he knows he has help. Here his closing speed is much better than before, but his ball skills are certainly questionable. Honestly, not sure what the hell even happened here. But still, the ability to execute this concept and be able to come down from depth like this is critical for Adams in this Seahawks defense. Playing this weak side safety position asks him to not only be the play-all-over kind of defender in the passing game, but also to fit the run from depth in the running game, which plays right into his strengths. He's at his best when he can fly down and pick up speed, then crush a receiver to blow up the run, and from this new position he can still do that a lot, he just won't get a lot of tackles for loss like we've seen in the past. The Seahawks know how good he is in the box, so they still have packages for him where he is close to the line or even on the line to fly off the edge. Adams, who's on the right of the screen, knows what's coming here, because during his film study he's seen this same formation and concept from the Packers in this same area of the field. Here is the identical concept from a game against the Bears, where the Packers have big ol' blocking tight end Marcedes Lewis here, with Devontae Adams on the ball, Josiah DeGuara off the ball, and Rodgers under center. This is a fake GF counter run, which means everybody's blocking to the right, while the G guard and F tight ends pull to the left so that Lewis can sneak underneath. The key to this play is the absolutely dirty run action witchcraft from Rodgers. I mean, kinda makes sense. He's dating a witch. And by showing the open palm to the defense, this is so hard to defend with so much happening after the snap. But a lethal in-the-box defender like Adams is just too smart and knows every detail is critical. He sees Lewis at the end of the formation, he sees Devontae on the ball and DeGuara off with the same exact spacing, Rodgers of course under center, and look how fast he flies off the ball. The guard isn't quick enough to kick him out. A.J. Dillon actually aborts the run fake and also tries to block him, but Adams is way too fast and he's able to blow up the play, which unfortunately won't show up on the stat sheet. Now, obviously, we have to talk about what's on everybody's mind, and that's his one-on-one coverage ability, which, to be honest, at times is spotty. The Seahawks barely play any man coverage at all, so we don't get to see him in too many straight one-on-ones, but when he does have those matchups, he can struggle with lazy technique. He's about 9 yards off of Higbee here, and at times he'll open up his hips to make sure he's playing the correct leverage, instead of contacting the receiver to throw him off his route's course. With this amount of distance between them, if Higbee broke inside here, Adams would be pretty much cooked, and with his hips flipped, he can't drive as easily on Higbee since his feet aren't underneath him. With poor technique, it doesn't matter how good you are, you're gonna get burnt. Still, it's not like he can't play with good technique, he's just inconsistent with it. This is a much better example of when he is able to use good technique to stay in front of Tyler Conklin and use his physicality. When we watch his body positioning and footwork, he doesn't have his hips flipped outside deep, but is square to Conklin. This forces him to play through Adams if he's going deep, or if he's breaking in or out, Adams can now contact him. Adams takes this little hop to mirror Conklin's breakpoint and is now in much better position to intercept the pass, which unfortunately gets tipped at the line. These technique issues will pop up on film and allow receivers to create separation, so it's not that Adams doesn't have the talent to cover, he just needs more experience playing in this new part of the field in the Seahawks' new defense. The way they use him, he's basically almost like what Alvin Kamara or Christian McCaffrey are, but on defense, where he's moved all around the field to fit into whatever the Seahawks need him to do. His whole career has been built around playing in the box, which in today's NFL just isn't quite as important anymore since the pass reigns supreme. he is not the 105th best safety in the league. That is just simply not true. But when looking at what Seattle gave up to get him, 2 first-round picks, then $70 million, 38 of that guaranteed, I'm not sure I can get on board with the idea he's worth all of that. He is a good, to at times very good safety, who's been asked to radically change his play style this last season. He's definitely impactful, it's just how impactful is he? The coverage stuff is completely overblown, but when looking at how the Seahawks are paying him, that's where I question if he's worth that. If he can improve his ball skills and turn some of these dropped interceptions into turnovers, if he can improve his technique and coverage to consistently lock down receivers while continuing to be an all-out force in the box and on the line, Jamal Adams will shut a lot of people up, and his perception will change.